Welcome to the Old Guys No Shit podcast in Dealercast Studios, where we bring together decades of automotive knowledge, all together in one place. Here's your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit.
Hey, what's going on, DC Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining us on another episode of the Dealercast, Old Guys That Know Shit. I'm Jason Harris.
I'm Rob Mudd.
And I'm Larry Bruce.
Guys, we're back. We're here.
Again.
On the road again.
I like again. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Means we have good customer retention.
There you go.
We have good customers.
We're making lifelong customers,
right
lifelong viewers.
We're making some noise out there, guys.
I think so.
Right? People are enjoying this. I'm having fun. You guys having fun doing this?
I am.
If you're not having fun, like Clint used to say, if you're not having fun, go drive a dynamite truck. Nobody will want to be with you.
Nobody will want to be with you.
You don't have a problem. You won't have to worry about it.
All right, guys, we've got a great topic today. We are diving into Beyond the Sale, all right, creating lifelong customers. I've been looking forward to this one, I got to be honest with you, because I don't know, I feel like for the last 6 months, I've really kind of been in this world of loyalty versus retention and how our industry is not like, we keep focusing, I think, on wrong KPIs. We've talked about this in other podcasts before, but here, let me just kick this off. Just kind of like, all right, I want to get you just, both you guys, just kind of general thesis of like, how do you generate a lifelong customer? How do you get to that point of loyalty?
You put them on a lease program where the payment fits their budget every 2 years.
That sounds like retention.
Well, same thing.
Because you're retaining them.
Right. That's loyalty if you keep them, right? Regardless of how you want to define it, you want them to buy something again. And so what they need is a reliable car that they can afford, and they want in it every 2 years. That is a used car lease.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree that you can get to loyalty or retention a lot of different ways. Right?
I'm kind of being facetious.
No,
I'm sorry,
you
but,
are. I know you're messing.
Yeah.
I know.
You can get into it a lot of different ways, but I think but it goes back to my favorite saying. Goodwill is like a war. It's won by many battles and lost by one.
Yes, right.
Right? And so if you, at the end of the day, you've got to have a multiple or a plethora of conversations.
Yes.
And these conversations have to be valuable to the customer. And if you're having a number of conversations that are valuable, some are more valuable than others. But if you're having a number of conversations that are valuable to the customer, you're going to have a better chance of getting a loyal customer. Now, there's nothing going to stop. If you sell Chevrolets and I want a Mercedes, there's nothing going to stop me from buying the Mercedes. I'm buying the Mercedes.
No. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I think what it is kind of, this is the way I've kind of looked at it. Our industry has been putting out these numbers about retention. Mm-hmm. And I have some fundamental issues with, if I'm running and operating a business with my objective to retain them for a certain period of time, well, that's not necessarily loyalty, right?
That's not loyalty at all.
Because what we're seeing right now, and we're seeing this epidemic of customers leaving us the moment the warranty expires, right? I think the current number right now, depending on dealership, between 40 and 60% of your customers don't come back to you once that
77% of your database is not coming.
Is that the number? Wow, so it's even higher. It's a stupid number. So I believe as an industry, we've been focusing on trying to retain a customer when in fact we actually, the end objective should be to make them a loyal customer.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many consolidators now, and there's so many dealers. If you're a salesperson and you're not telling your customers all the things you can sell them, let's start there.
There we go. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first conversations you should have with that customer is that you can sell everything that your group sells. Don't limit yourself to just what's in your store.
For sure.
Now, some of the groups might not want you to do that. I mean, and you've got to go with whatever the store wants you to do. But at the end of the day, if you're not leveraging, if you're a consolidator and you're not leveraging all the brands you represent, then why'd you consolidate in the first place? What were your goals? So I think if you're a salesperson in a group and you're not letting them know all the brands you represent and that the thousands of used cars you have access to, and that you can handle their needs if they like the way you took care of them and they want that to be taken care of like that every time. I've got access to just about every car you need. If you're with AutoNation, you've got access to every car they want. And you're not telling them that, what are you doing, man?
So lifelong customer means someone wants to come back to you, which means they want to have a good experience because they like you, because they felt like they got a good deal. And a good deal means that there was value for the customer, whatever that might be.
100%.
Right,
and
right?
there's
Whatever
definitely
that
that element to that. But I can tell you right now, I know for a fact, Rob, you have maintained customers far beyond anything to do with pricing.
Oh, for sure. Right, 100%. Right. It's not about the price is irrelevant if you perceive you got a good deal. Mm-hmm. Right? And whatever that is what that is, whatever that perception is. But that's really kind of where you got to get to.
Yeah.
Do I feel good? Do you feel good?
Well, it starts with, but to me, it always starts with, this is what I want to buy. And do you have what I want to buy?
Yeah.
Right. And the pricing is a secondary concern. And it's a very distant secondary concern, because it doesn't matter what the price is. If I don't want to buy it, I ain't buying it.
Right.
So if you have what I want, then you got a good price of what I'd like to buy it for, and we had a good experience with you last time. Because reality is that there's more than one car per household.
Right.
Yes.
There's closer to 3. Right? So I want to sell you this car, and I want to be the guy that sells you the other car and the other car, and I want to keep doing this over and over and over again. If I want to be a professional car salesperson, that's what I want to do. And I want to keep this process going for as long as I can. Now, again, it becomes a matter of capacity. It becomes a matter of scalability. I got into a conversation the other day with a guy who was trying to. There's a Hyundai guy, I can't remember his name, selling $1 million, making $1 million a year selling Hyundais. Okay, yeah, he is, but he ain't the only guy. He's got a team. Mm-hmm. He does.
Yeah.
When I worked at Tom Jumper Chevrolet in Marietta, Georgia, or it was Cobb, Georgia. Anyway, Marietta, Georgia. Larry Merritt was the number one sales guy. He had beat Joe Girard's number. He was a beast, man. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, he told me how I was going to finance cars. I didn't have an opportunity. I was quickly introduced to how this is the way things are going to go.
And right? I know who you're talking about too, and the level of strategy that individual was able to execute was incredibly impressive. So that's actually kind of like a perfect segue kind of to what I want to ask you guys, because I think both you guys have had different approaches and different strategies throughout your guys' career. What are some strategies that you guys have executed to help maintain and create, long-lasting relationships, loyal customers?
First, from my perspective of being an ad guy that works with car guys, is I have to know your business, right? If I walk into a car dealership and I don't know your business, I'm wasting your time. If I'm trying to get you on the phone and I don't have a purpose for the call and it doesn't make sense to the guy I'm talking to, I can't do a deal. So more than anything else, it's understanding the business, understanding your audience, and understanding that you have to uncover a need. And there's very few car presentations I've ever been in that the dealer we were talking to did not have an up problem.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has an up problem.
Everyone has an up problem. That was the common denominator. Everybody has an up problem. So if you understand that, that becomes the metric, right? And we always replace somebody. So whatever metrics the guy had that we replaced is our bogey. That's what we have to beat.
It's usually a low bar,
right? So you got to know the business.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you get someone to be loyal with you,
yeah,
right?
Because you're helping them.
Exactly.
But I got to ask, if you got to know the business, then why are dealerships doing business with all these people who have never been in the business?
Because they don't know the business themselves.
Well, and I also don't think
it's different.
They've defined the objectives.
Yes, and because of the digital world has opened up the whole world to people that don't need the whole world. They just need this. And you cloud it with all these peripheral things and make it confusing. It was Brad Deary. the Deary family here in Iowa, a great organization, been in business for a very long time, 50 years. Brad Deary, talking to him a couple weeks ago down in Burlington, he said, advertising has never been more difficult ever than it is right now. And so he doesn't have time to waste if you don't bring value to the conversation. And the only value we can bring is understanding the challenges that they have, because if he has that challenge, because of the way the franchise business work, everybody, well, not everybody, a great majority of other dealers just like him probably have the same problem too.
Well, they do. Well, they all do.
They all do.
Of course, that's my point.
Because here's what happened, right? And I think we talked about this last night at dinner, right? At the end of in the 80s, when there was none of this crap, we wrote a check to Mudd and said, put ups on my showroom floor, and I 100% laser focused everybody that came on the showroom floor I was going to close. I could put all of my attention on selling and closing more business because I knew Mudd was going to put people on my floor. I didn't worry about over this. I just wrote a check. Now I got to have a whole department.
Yes.
Right? Who is it? I got this digital person, and that digital person has another digital person, and then they both have, and then they got a BDC on top of it. So we created, so we went from, we had a sales department, a service department, a parts department, and a body shop, to now we have a sales department, a BDC department, a marketing department, a service department, a warranty department. I mean, you're creating all of these departments that you got to staff, train, and maintain, and hell, you don't know as much enough about it to even know if you're hiring the right marketing person or not. They can TCP/IP over broadband. Okay, great. They know all the acronyms. They must be good.
they must know what they're talking about, right?
Exactly.
Yesterday, I sat in on a General Motors IMR call with the folks from GM and going over our monthly performances. And I'm listening. I'm just there to listen because I want to hear everything coming in. And the best compliment we could have gotten, or I think we've ever gotten, was when the rep from General Motors said, "You're different. Your advertising philosophy is different than everyone else's."
No, it's the same. You're just too young.
Well, it's because no one else is an agency. They're all digital guys and gals and companies that don't understand, or their philosophy. I don't know what their philosophy is, but she says ours was different. Ours has been true north from day one, right? You got to understand the market. You have to understand the tools that you're providing, and you have to understand which ones work best for that dealer.
No. Look, I mean, you guys are 100% right. Like, I mean, if we don't have the objective of creating a loyal customer, then we're never going to create loyal customers.
Right.
If our objective is simply to generate a transaction, then that will be the objective. And I'm with you. I mean, I think loyalty starts from literally the first moment that we're in conversation with them. Like, even always down to it's the first impression. It's even in the marketing itself. All right.
But where does the loyalty lie? So here's a real trick, right? Because it's, number of conversations would generally mean the salesperson's having these conversations. So the loyalty lies with the salesperson. Salesperson would have always wanted to you've heard this. I hear it today. Custom dealers say, "What, my customers?" No, they're not your customers. They never were your customers, right? You come off the hip for some of my advertising. Now they can be some of your customers, but until that happens, they're my customers. Yeah. And it's funny to listen to the dealers talk to their salespeople about their customers, because they'll say, "Well, go work." A salesperson be complaining, "There's not enough up, so I don't have enough business, or this, that, or the BDC's not doing this." Well, go work your customers. No, Mr. Dealer, why don't you go work your customers?
Okay, actually, I like this, and I like this rabbit hole that we've found now. So, I mean, is it the responsibility of the dealership to make loyal customers, or the responsibility of the salesperson to
100% of responsibility of the dealer? Absolutely,
because everything starts.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, my dealership did a horrible job of creating loyal customers. I did as a salesperson, did a phenomenal job of creating loyal customers. Hence the reason why a lot of them followed me.
Right.
When I went and left and went to another direction or another dealership or something like that. So it's like,
no, they're your customers. You paid for them. The dealer paid for them with advertising dollars. That's how. The only reason you have that name, email address, and mobile number is because the advertising drove it, and I paid for the advertising. It's mine.
Right. Okay, so this kind of goes into
that is the mechanical explanation you just
Right.
gave. But every customer says that he has a car guy. Usually the
Oh yeah,
car guy
my
ain't
customers
the
are
dealer.
loyal. Yeah, my customers are loyal
It's
to
the
me, not the
salesperson.
dealership.
Right. But you can make them loyal to the dealership.
They
Because I
should be.
started thinking about this at one time because I'm trying to think, how does a dealer do this? Because they're not the salesperson. And they really want it to be with the dealership. How does that happen? And I started thinking about, well, okay, how does it happen to me today? And I looked at Amazon. I was like, I've never talked to anybody at Amazon, but I'm very loyal to Amazon.
Because they're the only one that does it. Because
Okay,
they,
let's
they pushed out
break
everybody
that down.
else. That could-
Does what?
It consistently executes a process.
That's
right.
Consistently
Convenience.
executes an experience.
An experience, thank you,
Thing,
yes.
The thing what I want. I can find what I want fast. I can find the right price, and I can order it online, have it show up on my door the next day.
Well, you're 100% right. I mean, look, I am loyal to my favorite Italian restaurant, but it doesn't mean I don't go there if what's her name's not working. The waitress isn't working that day.
I don't care.
Like I don't care. It's my loyalty is
to the business.
to that because their ability. Well, I think it starts with their ability to consistently execute on an experience. But then when I look at what other brands am I loyal to, there are ones where I feel known by them
Yeah.
and the way that they market to me or in the way. And so this is going to become my next segue, guys. Is like, how do we stay connected with customers, like between, let's call it vehicle purchases or between those transactions? Because Rob, we were talking about this on another episode recently, right?
Yep.
Where it's like we're talking at least 3 to 6 years. So it's like I want to stay connected to these
frequency
people.
of touches at the
Yes.
dealership.
Exactly, and I hate to say it right now, but we're relying on CRMs to do these stupid templates.
No,
and I
you're
don't
not
think that
relying on
does
CRMs. You're relying on CRMs to help salespeople do it, and they're not doing it.
All right.
I mean, the
Let's do that.
CRM doesn't act on its own, and that's the whole problem.
Well, and there's other things too, right? I remember the days that if you went into a Ford store, their portfolio didn't have 40% of all cars in a red carpet lease. They were doing a shitty job, right?
Yeah.
And that's how they created loyal customers, right? And then the off lease cars, remember? And that then was like a hand me down. There's 6 kids in my family, right? And Jim's the oldest than me, and then I've got 4 others, right? Well, Chris, or the kid at the bottom is the kid that gets the return, right?
Retreads.
Because until you can't wear them anymore,
Yeah.
right? Well, that's kind of like the built-in of the lease. You can bring the car back, you get it, and now you're going to resell it to a lower level, right? And that's really how it should be. Right?
Well, that whole half a car deal, that was
great.
amazing. That was
amazing. It was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
It's the turn of the vehicle, and if you can turn everyone's frequency and turn, what's that mean? 2 to 3 years. What's that? A lease. Why? Because they cost so much damn money, and I got to push out to 72 months to get.
Of course.
I'll never see them again.
No.
because I hooked them because they're
And
not
when
in
I do,
equity
and
position.
when I do see them, they're not going to be in any equity position, and
Right.
we're going to have I can only do that so many times before I've totally blown them out.
And so then the black swan event of the chip shortage created gouging and taking advantage. And so that doesn't do much for lifelong customers when you're asking them for
Yeah, I would love to know this.
30,000
Yeah, I
over
would exactly. I would love to know the stats of just how loyal those customers are that paid 5, 10, 20, 30 grand over MSRP.
But then there's another side of that too. How stupid was the consumer to buy that? They obviously wanted it, right?
Think about
They
it.
wanted it.
Think about it. For most of them, though, it wasn't even their money; it was given money to the government. Gave them money, and and you got to know there's two things that's going to happen when you get the government gives you money, right? It's the reason why we all have tax rebate or tax refund sales. The first place that money's going is to a new car, almost always, right? Shouldn't be, but that's where it's going, right? Secondly, unfortunately, drugs, right? Let's just be honest. That's where the money's going, right? It's found money. I'm going to buy myself a car. I'm going to get high. So
Those two don't go well together.
they don't go well together. But that's realistically what ended up happening over that black swan event of the COVID deal. But if you're going to create a lifelong customer, if you want to create a lifelong customer, it's going to take a number of conversations,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I don't want those conversations to be had with the salesperson. I want them to be had with my store. So my store has to have a number of conversations.
They need to have a process in place.
process
And
to have the
this
number of
goes into my
conversations.
next question because, guys, this is something that I have seen less and less of over the last 10 years, where I swear 10 years ago, it felt like everybody had something in place, and that's a loyalty program. So I've kind of seen this like fundamentally shift. I'm seeing less and less of it. So here's my question for you guys. What role does a loyalty program play in customer loyalty?
I'm not sure anymore because the loyalty program started with the airlines. You fly a lot. Is there loyalty any longer to the airlines?
Actually, there is for me.
I was going to say
I was a big Continental guy. Yeah. Continental treated me really, really well, and I flew Continental for a lot of years. But then United,
they're gone.
United took over. United buys them out, right? And it's not great service anymore. But I got almost 2 million plus miles now, right? On United? On United.
Yeah, then so you're there
forever. So when I walk up to the gate,
you're different.
They've held planes for me.
Yeah.
Right. So, when you get that level of service, I don't even want to use my points. I could use my points to go a lot of places, but I won't because I won't get that level of service.
Exactly.
Right. So I can't even go back to what we call donkey class. Right. I get upgraded to first class just about everywhere. Don't want to get packed to donkey class again. Right.
You do not.
No. So, but the dealership can and should be, and this goes back to all the things that we used to do. And like Ziegler said, well, did they used to work?
Yeah.
Then why did you stop doing them? Right.
Great.
So we stopped doing the loyalty programs. I mean, and you don't have it. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need points. You have a damn punch card for oil changes. The eighth one's free. Right. I mean, it can be that simple, right? It can be literally that simple.
Mm-hmm. So we could go full circle because this takes us back to our very first podcast when we started talking about electric cars, which there is no service on.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go back there, but I'm just kind of like you go full circle, right, with what's the new, what's the old, and the new isn't about customer service because of those things that are transpiring. The body is built for 1 million miles. So there's compression of everything today, and there's consolidation of everything, and then you get into the concept of singularity, right? Mm-hmm. And how does that pyramid touch at the top? I don't know. I mean, I'm going down a rabbit hole, so I'm going to shut up.
Well, it becomes the touches become fewer and fewer.
That's
right?
exactly what it is.
Right.
Cars last too long.
But there's still, you can still have a conversation. You can still have a conversation about, the cool things you can do with your electric vehicle on the weekend here. I mean, address the range problem. The 30 places you can go with the range of your current from this town with the range of your current electric vehicle.
Well, and I think we're saying this play this out. That there are definitely a handful of strategies that do help execute a loyalty. And I'm the same with you on the program aspect of it. I'm sitting on like 500,000 points of like bond void points, and I'm like, I love this, man.
Because I
get free nights, I get free breakfasts, I get promos.
Yeah.
This is like the best.
If I'm in town and I need a
once
hotel,
you get far
I get
down
a room.
the line, you don't want to make a change.
I don't want to make a change. So but then I also know that there are other brands that I'm loyal to because just their level and dedication to make me a part of their community, and that's kind of where you were going with the conversation, the connection. Right? It's like, okay, if you are going to be an EV, there are. It's a community piece,
and I'm not trying to bring that back up, bring that, but just the fact that EVs will make it even more difficult because the touches
will be fewer.
They don't.
You have to create touches because there's plenty of touches you can have.
Yeah, you don't.
I mean, realistically, when Amazon sells me, a computer, right? Yeah. For example, there's no more touches. But they create touches. Here's 25 things that will help you clean your computer and keep it better. They create the touches, right?
Yeah.
And and I've even had Amazon send me free stuff
because Amazon knows more about people than people know about themselves.
Well, they know at least about what you buy for sure.
And that's an indication of who you are, right?
Yeah,
of what you buy.
A lot of that. But don't just you got to get. I wouldn't call it creative. You just got to sit down and think about how can I help my customer?
Right. Once they buy this, what can I
do
help
to
them
help?
with? Because
Yeah,
I know
I think that's kind of what we're saying, guys, kind of in this podcast, kind of so far is if we really kind of like recap, it's like you do need to have a strategy. Loyal customers don't happen by accident.
No.
Okay. Like if you're out there watching, listening to this
Well,
right
actually,
now, it's like
maybe they do.
Well,
because if you don't have a strategy and you do have loyal customers, maybe it was by accident.
maybe,
I mean, I don't know.
There ain't many.
There isn't many, but I mean, really, like, I think what we're talking here is like, if our objective is to make lifelong customers, there's this mindset of being intentional about certain elements that are going to make that happen. If it's a program, and I like a good program, I really do like a good program. If it's a community, like I want them to be a part of my EV community, and we're gonna go and have EV and coffee every second Saturday of the month. So bring your EVs, come down. Hey,
That sounds like Saturn of days gone by.
There we go.
Saturn was one of those early promoters of that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
And they had a uniqueness,
right? And we used to do service. We used to do service introductions every other Saturday, where everybody came down. We introduced everybody to the service.
Saturn's,
service riders.
or I should say, Tesla reminds me of Saturn because it's.
I think
community.
Tesla has some Saturn-esque.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think they copied them. It
No.
just. But what is reminding me is the process that they created, the culture that they created.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
That was. I remember the commercials for Saturn going up the hill and everybody showing up in Cherry, North Carolina, or South, wherever it was. And Hal Riney, the ad guy with the big voice, right? They built a culture around it. And maybe that is what a lifelong customer is building the culture around your customer, that you know what they like.
And a lot of manufacturers do have a vehicle in their lineup that do speak to kind of that cultural element.
Yeah,
or that,
Mini,
that community.
BMW has Mini.
Yeah, I mean, I was just talking to my friend, Jordan Cox. He was out at a Land Rover dealership, and he has this. I think it's like at least once a quarter, they bring all their Defender customers, and they go for this cruise, this drive, the 4x4 off road stuff. Like
that brings up a good
community.
point. Did you the new Jaguar?
They're trying to rebrand
Right? I mean, unbelievable.
No kidding,
what these
right?
guys are doing, right? Just unbelievable. The woke attitude of whoever is their ad people is insane. I mean, it's absolute. So Tata owns these guys, right? So I have a Jaguar, or not a Jaguar, a Land Rover. We were talking about that last night.
Yeah.
I got this in 2009, and I haven't had any problems with it. I'm probably the only guy that's got one that has it.
Except for the other night.
Yeah, well, that was my problem.
that was not necessarily a Rover problem.
But as soon as the Ford in 2009, that was last year, they had it, sold it to the Tata, the whole thing changed, right? The whole culture of the vehicle changed, and it's just different. And I don't. They're like Bud Light 2 is what this is kind of, right?
Okay. Bud killed themselves. Bud Light killed themselves.
But that's what these guys are doing. Have you seen the Adronis?
I've seen some of it. Well, it's funny you bring it up because I tweeted. I got pulled into a tweet this morning from Andrew DeFeo down in St. Augustine. They were talking about they had just seen all these guys who were doing this rebrand, who are all talking about the rebranding of the Jaguar, and I just tweeted back, look, make a good product. Start there
you
first.
go.
I agree.
Right.
Yep.
You got to have a good product before you can rebrand anything.
It used to be the Jaguar's stick was they all looked alike, so you could buy one whatever year. It didn't matter because it was.
Well, they didn't put any innovation into their design.
And so now they're saying nothing's the same.
Right.
So it's a strange thing.
Jaguars until Jaguar builds until somebody says they've got a better car now. They're not going to be. No amount of rebranding will help.
No, I don't think that Land Rover is better now.
No, it's not.
It's not.
Like I said, you're the first person I've ever said who's happy with
it is interesting to see just how loyal some of their clients are. So
I'm loyal to that vehicle. I'm still driving. I love it.
It's and I've done this as a dealer. I mean, I've done this as a dealer. I've partnered with a vendor on a particular product, and yes, was there another vendor that might have got me 2 or 3 more features for the same pricing? Sure, there probably was, but I stuck with this one because of the relationship that I had built and this partnership that I built where I felt confident that they had me taken care of on that specific process that I was getting them to support me on, So it's like, it's not always the product that generates the loyalty.
It's the relationship, and it's how you're treated, and who your go-to person is, and they're always there when I have a problem, because that's usually what.
Yeah, but all those things,
problems.
It doesn't
if you can
matter.
solve my problem.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
But it doesn't matter how well you like the person. If it's a crap product, there's no rebranding, and there's no amount of help that's going to help you. You got to start with the product first. And then you've got to, but this product and service, and this hasn't changed in business since there's been business.
Right.
Product, service, product, service. Right?
Well, and I'm glad you brought up service, because that's a perfect segue kind of into kind of my last question for you guys kind of on this topic is like, what responsibility should the service department have in creating and maintaining a loyal customer?
100%.
Right. I mean,
they're the ones that are seeing them that have the opportunity to create the loyal customer.
But I find in that, and I'm totally with you guys in this, but I find when I go in to visit, I've had the opportunity to visit many different operations, is that these operations are so siloed.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, in fact, even
they work
some
off
of
different
them,
systems.
Like some of them, they work off different systems. So not only that, but some of them just actually generally hate each other. Mm-hmm. So like, how do we, sales team might do an amazing job of doing it, and then all of a sudden they get handed over to the service department. The service department just totally crashes it.
Yeah,
it's called value. Do you value those actions that the sales guys take? Sales guys, do you value the things that the service folks do? It's mutual respect for each discipline. They're different. Mm-hmm. They're absolutely different, but you can't have one without the other.
Yeah, but I think it goes for. I mean, it's back to in every store I ran in my stores when I had them. One of the pieces of delivering the car, or one of the processes of delivering the car, rather, is you took the customer back to the service drive and you introduced them to their service writer.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is Bill. He's your service writer. He's the best in the business. Tee him up. And then every time, and any time the service department ran into a time where the vehicle could be sold, they went and grabbed that salesperson, then TO'd that salesperson.
Yep.
Well, did it used to work?
Yes.
going back, right? Like,
then why'd you stop doing it?
Why'd you
stop doing it? Right. I mean, I'll tell you that.
I'm with you.
Harley Davidson has one of the best processes I've ever seen. It's not Harley Davidson's process, it's a Veraka's process, the guys that own 20 Harley Davidson stores, because that's all they can own.
Yeah.
But it's called Fit Ride, right? And basically at the end of the day, what the way it works out, I won't get into all the details, but once you've finished your Harley deal, then the salesperson walks you over to Motor Clothes, because you're going to buy some gear.
Yeah.
And then once Motor Clothes is done, the Motor Clothes person walks you back to parts, because you're going to buy some accessories, right? Then once the parts credit is done, they're going to walk you into service, because you're going to buy some things to keep your Harley moving,
running,
right?
Yep.
And then they drop them off to F&I.
And then ring it up.
Yep, ka-ching. And if that's not your deal, that's probably one of the best processes in the country.
Because now I've been connected to each of the individual departments, so my loyalty can be fostered through any one of those departments.
People, right? Absolutely. And I don't know why more car dealers don't do this.
We have the ability, but I'm with you with this. I've seen it play out a few times.
Harley's doing a good job of ruining their
But that's Harley Davidson, the corporation, not the dealer. The dealers know what they're doing.
Yep.
If Harley's a lot like General Motors, just get the hell out of the way.
Yes.
Please, just get out of the way. We sell cars. You make them. Go make really good cars. Let us sell them.
Well, the Harley Davidson dealers know the personality of their consumer.
Yes.
They know why they're there. You don't need a Harley. You want a Harley.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
And you pay 50% more for a Harley than any other bike in the country.
Yeah, if you want the headaches, you know where to go get them.
Yeah. Right. I absolutely know that. I bought some. I bought some. I was going to say something else. I'm so glad I didn't.
Well, guys, hey, look, I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation today, but I'd like to just kind of ask you guys both, any final thoughts for anybody out there watching and listening right now who are really just trying to concentrate on how they can create more loyal customers? Any final thoughts before we
I would say err on the side of helping the customer.
Yeah.
Right.
Have more conversations. Yeah. The more conversations you have, the more help you can provide, the more you know about what you can do to help them. Just have more conversations. More conversations always leads to better outcomes. In almost any situation, anything. It doesn't matter. No. It will lead to better outcomes. You know what doesn't?
Doing nothing.
Well, doing nothing definitely will do that. But just blasting your customer with crap.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's
a quick way to lose.
That's a quick way to lose a customer. It's a quick way to get out of the. I mean, stop with this nonsense. You're doing these things. The dealers are doing these things. They're being sold these things because they're easy for the vendor to provide. Mm-hmm. It's like a website. These platform websites that are in automotive. They weren't there because it's the best way for you to have a website. So the best way for you to have a website.
It was the best way for them to make money.
It was the best way for them to build you a fast, quick website, and that's why it's on a platform.
That's right. Platforms aren't made for individuals. They're made for the market.
Exactly.
100%. Hey, guys, this has been a lot of fun, and I really do think that if you're out there watching, listening right now, and you want more loyal customers, I think what you heard from all three of us today is that you need to be intentional about it. All right, it is not going to happen just for the sake of it being happening. It's like you guys need to find, if it's a program, if it's a community, if it's communication, and again, no one wants to be blasted anything. All right, that's not going to create loyal customers. So turn off the CRM. Turn off tell your marketing team to stop blasting people because it ain't
just quit pushing the button.
Quit pushing the button and be intentional, right? With the intentional and the connection,
and have the right metrics, such as the metrics that we have for our podcast here. Right? If we didn't have people coming back to our podcast, we would know that the content we're giving them is worthless.
That's right.
But we do have people coming back because that's our intention, is to help.
Yeah,
share what we learned and how can we help
give back.
And bring True North back to, or at least some semblance of it. Advertising, marketing in today's world of confusion.
Yeah,
100%. And we were kind of talking about even the stat that Larry brought up when we kind of first started. I mean, this is huge. This is an epidemic. You guys are losing customers. Upwards of over 70% of your customers are stop servicing with you once the warranty expires.
It's why you're spending $700 a car in advertising, for God's sake. How do you make money? How are you doing that? I'd love to know that. How are you making money that way?
Mm-hmm. And that's a quick way to bring that number down, right?
You got to bring the number.
You got to bring the number down.
We have to bring the number down.
If you're going to sell more new cars,
we are done. We're done. We're done where we are. We had the number where profitability will come for the dealership is getting more. Number one, getting more efficient with your advertising and marketing dollar.
That guy has an up problem if that's what it costs him to get a car deal. Yeah. He's got an up problem.
Oh no, he's got a audience problem.
It's got a loyalty problem.
Let me market to your audience.
Yeah. Well, he's got then the wrong audience builder.
He's got.
Right?
All that stuff. Just so many bad things happen here. All we did was transfer money that was on radio and television to the web. Yeah. It was not a reduction or an efficiency. No. It was simple transfer of wealth.
100% into at least a system that worked and could measure up. You went into the world of digital where now it's a lead on people who I never talked to. It's an impression. It's a unique
I tried to
visitor,
call them.
Yeah. But you don't know their number. They didn't tell you when they went to your website.
But I did email them. Would they email you back? Well, no. Did you follow up? Well, no.
Well, and guys, and that's where loyalty starts. Loyalty literally does start from that first impression.
Yeah.
I know, that the place I just recently bought my truck from, I will be loyal to them. They were so quick in their communication. They were so transparent, and it really did set the stage. Hey, for everybody out there watching and listening, we appreciate you guys taking the time, all right, to consume us, to consume, and some of the things that we're saying out here. But hey, one of the biggest compliments you can give any one of us up here is to share the show, all right? If you have a colleague or a friend or a manager or an owner that needs to hear some portion of this conversation, the biggest compliment you can ever give us is share the show. And if you guys have enjoyed this content and you'd like to see additional content like this, hey, Larry, where can they see that additional content?
They can see that at thedealercast.com. Great website. See the go there, find every episode, then ask us questions, find out a little bit about us. It's all there at thedealercast.com.
Be there. All the cool kids.
All the cool kids.
All the cool kids. Hey, for everybody out there, thank you again so much. You have yourself an amazing day. Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast with your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.